Shalom Ubracha, and welcome to this week's edition of mitzvot that we will be covering for Parashat Noah as a part of Parasha Study Plus. I'm Rabbi Ikey Tawil, and this week in Parashat Noah, since there's no official mitzvah from the Tariag mitzvot in the official count of the Rambam and Sefer HaChinuch, what we're going to do usually on these parashiot is take an opportunity to talk about mitzvot that are hinted to, or also where the Pesukim and the sources are from this parasha. And this was a great opportunity to discuss the Sheva mitzvot b'nei Noah. As we know that there are 7 Noahide laws, and we're going to delve into them today. And we're mostly going to be focusing on the source for them, who is responsible for keeping these mitzvot, when were these mitzvot given, why did they get their names, and we will obviously enumerate them as part of the study. So let's get started. So we'll start first in the Talmud, in Masechet Sanhedrin, on Daf Nun Vav Amud Aleph. Tanu Rabbanan, widely accepted teaching that the rabbis taught, Sheva mitzvot nistavu b'nei Noah. There are 7 mitzvot that were given to the descendants of Noah. We'll read them first up top and then go to the English. Dinin. So dinin means to establish a court of judgment. Ubirkat Hashem, and cursing of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, of God's name. Ayin Zayin stands for Avodah Zarah, idol worship. Gilui Arayot, sexual immorality. Shfichut Damim, murder. Gezel, which is theft, thievery. Ve'eved min hachai, tearing off a limb from an animal that is alive and eating it. So these are the 7 laws of Noah. We're going to be seeing them in a closer up slide from the Rambam, but this is where we see it in Masechet Sanhedrin, which gives us the list. Rabbi Hananiah ben Gamla Omer, Af al hadam min hachai. Right, so too on the blood from a living animal. And we also see that further rabbis added sirus as well as kishuf, which is, let's say, castrating animals, or kishuf, or which is sorcery. So on this last point, what I want to bring home is that, yes, officially we have 7 Noahide laws from what the Gemara mentions. We'll see that in the Rambam. However, we do see many sources that tell us that there were really many more mitzvot that fall under the umbrella of the mitzvot of Sheva mitzvot b'nei Noah, quote unquote. Let's take just a look at the Rambam, who says not only that there were 7, but also gives us the order. And he starts off by saying, Al shisha devarim mistava Adam harishon. There were 6 things that a person had, that Adam harishon had to keep. Number 1, al avodah zarah. Number 2, al birkat Hashem, on cursing God. Ve'al shvichut damim, on murder. Ve'al gilui arayot, which is sexual immorality. Ve'al gezel, on thievery. Ve'al dinim, to set up courts. Af al pi shekulan hin kabbalah biyadenu mimoshe Rabbeinu. Even though all of these were accepted from us by Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, what does this mean? There is a mahloket between Rambam and the Ramban as to whether or not these mitzvot would have been accepted had the Torah not been given, or they were just man's law and these were something that was obvious. While the Ramban definitely describes to man's law, we see that here the Rambam says, "V'hadat notah lahen," the mental capacity that a person has, means these are logical. And even though they were giving to Adam Harishon, why are they named Sheva Mitzvot B'nei Noah? 2 reasons. Number 1, because Hosif le Noah Eved min hachai, Noah received the last one, which was really a testimony to how cruel Dor HaMabul was, that they would actually engage in this. Shneimar, ach basar benafsho damo lo tochelu. Let's go to the next slide, which gives you this entire slide in English, where we see that here the mitzvot are clearly labeled 1 through 6, and the 7th one was given to Noah. In the English translation, even flesh, life is in the blood, do not eat of it, as we just read. So since everyone essentially are descendants from Noah, since the world was started again from Noah, these were called, once the list was completed with the 7, they are called the 7 Noahide laws, Sheva Mitzvot B'nei Noah. So we've answered the question, 2 questions so far. What are the 7 Mitzvot B'nei Noah? Right here on the slide, take another look. And you can see again, idolatry, cursing Hashem's name, murder, illicit sexual relations, thievery, and establishing a system of justice. And a 7th one was eating a torn limb from a live animal in the times of Noah. And why was it called the Sheva Mitzvot B'nei Noah? Because the final one was given to Noah, and essentially all of us come from Noah and his family. So all of mankind, even if they did not receive the Torah, would have to follow these laws. Let's see the sources for not only that, but also I want to mention again that these are the 7 official ones. But we see many different opinions as to that, saying that there were many more. Here is the leader of that source, or one of the most important or powerful of these sources, Masechet Holin, Daf Sadi Bet 92, Amud Aleph. Let's go to the words of Ula. Ula said, Elu sheloshim mitzvot shekiblu alehen b'nei Noach. Here are the 30 mitzvot that the descendants of Noah initially kept. Ve'en mekayemin ela shlosha. But they were only able to stand up and fulfill 3 of them. We're not the list of 30 and the 3 is beyond the scope of our class. But again, the point is that if you look across a lot of literature, and even modern day rabbis have expounded upon this, is that we can definitely point to more than 7 laws that people have kept or have tried to put into the 7 laws, Sheva Mitzvot B'nei Noach, in order to have a society that can run properly. That was the major thrust behind these 7 laws, that even if you did not accept upon yourself to take on, and you were not born into the tribe of Israel and didn't want to take on all 613, everyone and all mankind were obligated in the 7. And the Rambam points this out in Hilchot Melachim u'Milchamot, in Chet Yod. V'chen tziva Moshe Rabbeinu mipi hagvura. Moshe, also our teacher, was commanded from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, lachof et kol ba'ei ha'olam, in order to, lachuf literally means to force, or to here this English translation says to compel, lekabel mitzvot shenitztavu b'nei Noah. Kol ba'ei olam has to do this, meaning all of the people that are walking on the world have to accept these commands. V'kol mi shelo yakabel yehareg, and anyone who fails to accept these would be executed. So really gruesome, meaning in terms of trying to have a functioning world, this Rambam sees this as necessary. V'hamekabel otam, if somebody does accept and adopt them, hu hanikra ger toshav bechol makom. This is one statement where we say this person was called a ger toshav bechol makom, meaning that can reside anywhere. And we usually refer to this person as the ger toshav. He is accepted upon himself the 7 Noahide laws. V'sarich lekabel alav b'fnei shlosha chaverim. A person can't just say, "Oh, I'm doing it." The person has to say, "No, I'm going to take it upon myself in front of 3 people," meaning a beit din. And usually these people were rabbis, well-learned people, and individuals, to make it as strong as possible as a kinyan, accepting it upon themselves. Rambam goes even further, and this is a question that many people have. So what's the reward for keeping these 7 Noahide laws? Rabbi, I know so many non-Jewish people. They're the most righteous people you'll ever meet. So I just want to know, are they getting olam haba? Does HaKadosh Baruch Hu care about them? So of course, the second question, Hashem cares about every single creature created in Selim Elokim. But the Rambam says it black on white. Let's read together. Kol ha'mekabel sheva mitzvot. Anybody who accepts upon themselves the 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach, v'nizhar la'asotan, and is very careful to perform them. So here, they just want to make a diuk. This is the difference. Meaning, we just said before that according to the Rambam, if I don't accept it, then the person gets executed. So you're really leaving the person no choice. But you can accept them and just not follow them so well. So meaning, I accept that this was something that I have to do, but whatever. Nothing's gonna. No one, don't worry. I'm not getting a lightning bolt, a lightning rod. Many of us act this way as well. Okay, Rabbi, look. Okay, this commandment, you told me it's important, but my life is good. We have to be careful with that. Kol mekabel sheva mitzvot. Anybody who accepts upon themselves these 7 mitzvot, v'nizhad la'asotan, but is careful to do them. These people are from the righteous Gentiles of the world, the righteous of the nations. Hasidei umot ha'olam. Ve'yesh lo chelek le'olam haba. This person has a portion in the world to come. והוא שיקבל אותן ויאוסר אותן מפני שציווה בהן הקדוש ברוך הוא בתורה, והודיענו על ידי משה רבנו שבני נוח מקודם נצטוו בהן. So we need to understand that when does this person get his chaylik in olam haba? As he really believes that it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who commanded them in the Torah, and that Moshe was really a messenger and he told us about it. And what did he tell us? He said, by the way, guys, it's almost like a reminder, these were already commanded from the time of Noah. So this is important because the point that the Rambam is trying to bring out is that everything is noveya. It comes from Matan Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving the transmission to Moshe and to us. So the Noahide laws were also, you could say here, reaffirmed. But even though the people standing at Har Sinai may have said, okay, these laws are important, but they're not part of the Taryag, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Rambam is saying, no, HaKadosh Baruch Hu also gave these as part of the Matan Torah experience. And in this case, also, somebody who follows it in this way, accepts it upon themselves in front of 3 people, and knows that it's coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and is doing it, and understands that Moshe Rabbeinu gave it as part of Matan Torah, then that person is definitely one of Hasidei Umot HaOlam and gets the Olam Haba. Aval im asa'an mipnei hechreya hadat, if a person does this, no, look, I follow these Noahide laws because they make sense. En ze ger toshav ve'eno mechasidei Umot HaOlam ve'lo mechachmehem. There's a girsah change here in many different versions of the Rambam. He says ve'lo mechachmehem, and he's not part of their even wise people. Some versions of the Rambam say Ela mechachmehem, meaning, but he's rather just they're chachamim for that they were able to get to it, but they're not going to get they're not hasidim, and they're not they're not considered on the status of a ger toshav, which is important because those people who are resident aliens, these ger toshav, have the right to live among us in Eretz Yisrael, no matter what, in all times and in all mekomot. So just as a summary, we've seen the 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach. We understand the concept that according to many of the other rabbis counts that there could have been more of these mitzvot that were included in terms of mitzvot that made logical sense, that were given to, that goyim were able to follow and still be considered righteous people and individuals. However, according to the Rambam, which is what we follow, and also the Gemara and Masechet Sanhedrin, which we brought, we've narrowed it down to those 7. And anybody who follows them and understands that they're part of the Matan Torah experience, Moshe Rabbeinu and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, earns the status of Ger Toshav, is one of the Hasidei Umot HaOlam, righteous people of the world, and gets a Chelek in Olam Haba. Thank you so much for joining us, and hope to see you next week in Parashat Lech Lecha.